What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and as promised, the 2014 NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs Western Conference video is now a go, now that we know what the matchup is going to be for the Western Conference title. If you haven't had a chance to pop over and watch the Eastern Conference prediction video, pop on over, take a look at that. You'll see exactly who I predicted to make it into the Stanley Cup final out of the Eastern Conference. This video is going to deal entirely with the West, which last night, of course, we saw the LA Kings dominate the Anaheim Ducks to win Game 7 of that series, get into the Western Conference final to take on the Chicago Blackhawks. So far in these playoffs, I am 4-2 predicting the Western Conference. I was only 2-2 in the first round. I gave you Anaheim over Dallas and Chicago over St. Louis, but I missed Minnesota over Colorado and the Kings over San Jose. Well, in the second round in the Western Conference, I was 2-0, much the same way as I predicted the Eastern Conference final correctly. I predicted the Western Conference final correctly. 2-0. I told you to take Chicago over Minnie, and I told you to take the Kings over Anaheim. In fact, Chicago and Minnie I predicted perfectly. So let's start right there. We're going to start with Chicago and Minnesota. I told you to take Chicago in 6 games. That works out perfectly. Chicago outscored Minnesota in that series 15-13. Leading the way was Marian Hossa with 9 points. But I gotta say, man, big ups to the Minnesota Wild. I didn't think they were getting by Colorado, and they did that. They got it down to a one-shot wins kind of scenario, and they just managed to get that shot off first against Colorado. And Bryzgalov, again, I've been very critical of Ilya Bryzgalov, but he played extremely well in this series against Chicago. But Corey Crawford in Game 6 was just lights out. Minnesota, by all rights, probably should have won that game, but Corey Crawford just played a phenomenal game. Chicago moves on in 6 to the second straight Western Conference final. And Chicago is going to be met by a team that is in its 3rd straight Western Conference final, the Los Angeles Kings. The Kings beat the Anaheim Ducks, Battle of California. Kings beat them in 7 games, outscoring Anaheim 19-15. Marian Gaborik with a phenomenal 10 points in this series. And quite frankly, like I said in the previous video, the Kings have this ability to just kind of go into God mode. Like, for lack of a better term, they just turn the volume up. Like, they're just, they get down and they have this other level that other teams just don't seem to have. And in a Game 7, the Kings are a team that are built to win. Now, I want you to remember that I said that in just a few minutes. So overall, between the Eastern and Western Conferences, I am 9-3 so far in these playoffs, picking the winners of these series. A real good number. I'm guaranteed at worst a 9-6, which I think is a better mark than I've had the previous 2 years. So I'm really excited about that. Doing really well. We're going to keep moving forward here. That tees up a Western Conference Finals matchup of the rematch of last year, the Chicago Blackhawks and the LA Kings, both number 3 seeds in this new playoff format, number 3 in the Central, number 3 in the Pacific. The season series saw Chicago take all 3 matchups, 3-0 there, outscoring the Kings by a mark of 9-4. Chicago's offense has dipped on all accounts from their marks in the regular season. Goals per game, they were 3.18 for number 2 overall this season. Right now they're at 2.92, which ranks them only 6th in the playoffs. Their power play total, 19.5% in the regular season, down to 18.2 in the playoffs. 33.1 shots per game in the regular season, which ranked them 3rd. They're down to just 27 shots a game now, which only ranks them 12th out of the 16 playoff teams. And while the Blackhawks are allowing more shots per game than they did allow in the regular season, their penalty kill as well as their goals allowed per game has come up significantly over their marks in the regular season. The Blackhawks have the best penalty kill still in these playoffs and rank 3rd in goals against per game. While the Kings have kind of seen the opposite effect. They're not getting quite as many shots on goal as they were through the regular season, but their goal scoring output has come up huge. Again, they were 26th in the league this year in goals scored per game. They are up to number 2 in the playoffs, averaging 3.21. The power play has also come alive, 27th ranked in the league at just 15.1%. They currently rank 7th in the playoffs at 22.9. And while they are allowing, also like Chicago, more shots on goal per game, and their goals allowed per game has come up by more than half a goal, they are doing a much better job on the penalty kill. Their 83.1% in the regular season, which ranked them 11th, has come up to 8th in the playoffs. Now, as we did for the Eastern Conference video, we're going to take a look at a little bit of home versus away. We're going to start with Chicago home and the Kings on the road, as that's where the series is going to start. And Chicago has been lights out at home in these playoffs. 6 games played. They are 6-0, outscoring their opponents by a mark of 22-8. Chicago has also leaned heavily on their special teams at home. 5 of their 6 power play goals in these playoffs have been scored on friendly ice, and they've only given up 1 of their 4 power play goals against. The Kings have played 8 games on the road in these playoffs, have a respectable mark of 5-3. Kings are outscoring their opponents 28-23 on their ice. They've also scored better than half of their power play goals and given up less than half of their power play goals against. Moving the series to Los Angeles, taking a look at Los Angeles at home versus Chicago away. LA has played 6 games at home in these playoffs, but they are only 3-3. On home ice, they've outscored their opponents 17-14. They've only scored 5 of their 11 power play goals at home, and they've given up over half 5 of their 9 power play goals against. Chicago, unfortunately, has been very mediocre on the road in these playoffs, with a mark of just 2-4, being outscored by their opponents 13-19. Chicago has also only managed to score 1 of their 6 power play goals on the road, while giving up 3 of their 4 power play goals against. Big X factor here for Chicago, you can probably put it together already, holding court. The pure fact of the matter is, Chicago is 6-0 at home. They are outscoring their opponents about 3-1 at home. And Los Angeles in these playoffs has gotten into some sloppy road shootouts, especially in that first round against San Jose. So they are more susceptible playing on the road. And again, Chicago has just been lights out at home. Chicago wants to absolutely hold home court in this series. Huge X factor for the Kings, you can probably figure it out. Quickie on the road. While it's easier said than done, the path here for the Kings is clear. Jonathan Quick has to steal a game from Chicago in Chicago. That's the only way the Kings can win this series. Quick has to come up huge and steal one of those games in Chicago. Do I think he's going to do that? No. I'm going to take the Blackhawks here once again. I think Chicago's just a more complete team, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Although the Kings have played extremely well in these playoffs, I think Chicago at home is just a different beast. So I'm going to take the Blackhawks to beat the Kings, but I'm going to take it in 7 games. Between the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, this is going to be the series to watch, and I think this is going to be a home ice series. Maybe that's easy for me to say based on the numbers, but I do think it's going to be a series where home ice comes right down to it. I think the home team wins every game in this series, including Game 7. Chicago beats the Kings at home to win the series, go to the Cup Final. So there it is, folks. There's the Western Conference video. You already know who I said was going to win the East if you watched my other video. If you haven't, get your butts over there and watch that video. Link is in the description. Comments, hate, and love, you know where they go. Comment section below. That's it for me, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter. Subscribe to the awesome Jeffy Poo. His channel is in the description below as well. See you next time. We'll see you again for the Stanley Cup Finals prediction video. Oh, and I might have a hockey card box break for you in the next coming days.